Hello, gentlemen. Jeff Sanchez, children's rights advocate here again. This also comes from a brilliant sociologist named Vilar, who females tried to kill back in the 70s. The mask of femininity. There is virtually no difference between an unmade, bald, naked woman and an unmade, bald, naked man, except their reproductive organs. Any other difference between them is artificially produced. A man becomes a man because he develops his intelligence, and through its development, his productivity. His appearance changes very little. A woman becomes a woman by means of gradual solidification and by deliberately transforming her external appearance, and this differentiation between the sexes is prompted exclusively by women. As we have said, man is considered masculine only after a series of manipulations on the part of women. A woman, on the other hand, is the author of her own transformation and produces femininity by means of cosmetic hairstyle and clothes. This femininity, synthetic in origin, consists of two different components: emphasis on the secondary sexual characteristics and distancing herself by means of a mask. Women makes use of various types of masks in order to make the difference between herself and a given man as conspicuous as possible. The first component serves to make her desirable to man, the second to make him mysterious to him. She thus creates the unequivocal, unknown opposite sex, making it easier for him to accept his enslavement. Thanks to the wide range of possible transformation, each woman can offer a man. A real woman varies her looks just a little every day. She keeps him in a state of constant bewilderment. While he is still trying to find yesterday's woman in today's, she gains the time to achieve her own ends. She will maneuver the man into an unattainable position, all the time skillfully distracting his attention from the rotting mind beneath the pleasing mask. Woman regards her natural self merely as the raw material of women, not the raw material, but the end result has to be judged. Unmade up, without curlers and bracelets and necklaces. Women are not yet really present. This explains why they don't mind running around with curlers or with cold cream on their faces. It is not they at this stage. They are still occupied with the process of becoming them. They succeed with this sort of make-believe all the more easily because they are not hampered by any kind of intelligence. No effort is too great that women will not make it in order to make this metamorphosis. No makeup can cost too much or take too long to put on, when it is a question of the final product, which will distinguish them so markedly for men. By rubbing cream into their skin, make them smoother than men's. Their hair is curled or worn long for the same reason. They do not put mascara on their eyes for the sake of beauty. It is to make their eyes differ from male eyes. Strange, mysterious, disturbing. All this was the original purpose of the female masquerade, but it has almost been forgotten now in the course of the last few decades. The average middle-class married woman has developed from a rather busy domestic servant into a kind of domicile, well padded with the comforts provided by her man. As a result of this, her former games, which for the specific purpose of transforming her appearance, have become an end in themselves. And since amusing themselves with their own bodies is their favorite game, and well-to-do middle-class wives frequently have nothing else to do, they occupy themselves in this way. What is more, they are encouraged to do so by men. After all, it is men who manufacture their cosmetics, design their fashions and hairstyle, and make a living doing so. They do their best to provide these women with new variations, helped by the editors of women's magazines and by the women's radio programs. In fact, women have almost succeeded in producing a totally new feminine culture, a sort of women's art and crafts. In this sanctuary, they live amongst themselves, disturbed by none, being led to heights, or rather, into depths, where no man can follow. apart from those specialized slave labors mentioned above. Men adore their women and want them to be divine, exotic, iridescent, that is, feminine. At the same time, they have no desire to watch their hours of slavish narcissistic primping and are getting more and more uncomfortable. They will never understand the pleasure a woman takes in housework, and to them, the makeup poses is just as degrading. Every man knows that he himself could not care less if a woman wears 3 colors of eyeshadow or one, just as he knows he has no need for lace curtains or rubber plants in the living room. But he appreciates that other men of society demand this of women, and he feels intensely sorry because he believes himself to be responsible for this degrading state of affairs, since he realizes that he and other members of his sex are interested only in women's external appearance. For what else is there to be interested in? He assumes that his wife's tireless efforts to make herself into an object of desire and to create a certain mystique by means of makeup, which, however, should not be exaggerated, are the signs of excessive zeal to please him. Of course, he feels guilty and rather touched. Thanks to his primitive needs, he believes that he is making woman into this object of his desire. He believes he is suppressing all her worthwhile qualities, which are in fact nowhere to be found. As usual, he is missing the truth by a hair's breadth. It is in his own interest to deny the fact that this whole development is tantamount to the highest level of female culture, and that women do not by means of fashion and cosmetics make themselves into objects, but rather their ceaseless preoccupation with such matters corresponds to the mental activities of infinitely primitive subjects. And there is something else he does not know. A woman does not only recreate herself from day to day, so to speak, getting further and further away from her true self just for the sake of entertainment. The cult satisfies her minimal need for a religion, as well as need which, as we have already seen, depends on her low-level intelligence. Every step in this transformation requires a totally neutral critical observation of self. It forces women to regard herself constantly with the eyes of a female stranger and to test the results of her labors in terms of that onlooker's eyes 1,000 times a day. If the transformation is successful in those critical eyes, if it passes criticism, she can still, in the eyes of the stranger, indulge in unrestrained self-admiration. Thanks to this trick, she is, as it were, in the position to worship at her own feet, and is therefore, to a large extent, from every system designed to satisfy a man's pleasure and non-freedom, systems such as ideologies, religions, or glorifications of some other being. Well, gentlemen, we know now, and we're paying attention. Take care.